Hello everyone, Juxtaposition here. Today's video will be entitled Netcentric Cognitive Neuroscience Electronic Warfare. Do you want me to say it again? Okay, it's an acronym. Typically you'll see the message in this video expressed in shorter three-letter acronyms, DEW, Direct Energy Weapons, or you'll see CEW, Cognitive Electronic Weapons. But the NATO War Doctrine in Geneva, Switzerland, located in the House of Peace, there where the United Nations and the World Bank and the IMF, International Monetary Fund, are all located along with the Red Cross and the Knights Templar. The technical war doctrine name for what I'm going to discuss today is Netcentric Cognitive Neuroscience Electronic Warfare. Net-centric cognitive neuroscience electronic warfare. It's to trace, track, and target every living creature on the planet, whether they're vaccinated or not. And do check out this very handsome coffee mug or Scotch whiskey mug. My topics do require adult beverages from time to time. Juxtaposition 1, you can have one of these. Go down to the link below and see the coffee time with Juxtaposition. You'll need to send some money in to get one of these bad boys. And you don't have to be a member of my channel to score one of these mugs, but you do need to send some money into my post office box. All right? Take care now. So let me move on here with the war doctrine of NATO, located in the House of Peace. And don't you find it a juxtaposition or hypocritical to know that the United Nations, which is supposed to stand for we are one world order, Geneva global governance, that they would be waging war upon citizens of the world, like the My Lai massacre, for example. That's an extremely good example because they're waging a My Lai massacre in your strategic hamlet. That's what your town is called under the doctrine of war, that NATO practices warfare on a daily basis. It's not just blue helmets and M16 rifles. They actually use invisible weapons, light energy weapons, photonics, sound energy weapons, ultrasonics, and magnetic resonance weapons, EMF, electronic magnetic frequency. They also use MIMS and MIMOs, right? Micromechanical systems and maximum input, maximum output. It's called smart dust, also known as mesogens, also known as smart dust for stupid people. These are all the building blocks, the pillars of the mesh network. Everything we talk about today has to do with networking and inescapable ubiquitous systems known as full spectrum dominance. Talking about infiltration, not invasion. Talking about your water, your breathable air, your soil, your vegetable garden, the pets at your home, all our farm animals, and all the airplanes above are fully choked up with aluminum and polymers and barium and strontium and lithium and titanium and magnesium and arsenic poisoning. That's right. It's in your soil. It's in your air. It's in your lungs. It's in your pituitary gland. It's on your skin. Once these MIMS and MIMOs, aka smart dust, once that penetrates your skin, they no longer are environmental sensors that can send and receive, two-way communications, send and receive. They, once penetrating your skin, become bio cyber interface, send and receive your telemetry data, your biometric telemetry data. And you see your body, your personal autonomy, or what used to be autonomous system, has been hacked now because of your exposure to smart dust, MIMS and MIMOs, and MOSA and SOSA operating systems for MIMS and MIMOs, which is smart dust, and the pulsing energy send and receive transponders of your bio-cyber interface of your body. And so essentially, this is a concept of taking human beings and tethering them to the HAL 9000 cloud, to the AI, to the artificial intelligence, the judiciary in the sky, the invisible superior Supreme Court justice in the sky. That's where we're going, by the way. This is all going to fall underneath maritime law, military martial law, the law of the sea, but foisted upon the land because of the transportation systems of rivers, canals, highways, bridges, ports and airports, ports and airports, ports and airports bring the sea onto the land, along with the lakes, the reservoirs, brings the sea onto the land, meaning that its military court is in charge of your strategic hamlet. And there is no United States of America. There's no Ukraine. There's no Israel. There's no United Emirates Republic, United Arab Emirates. There's no Iran. There's no Monte Carlo. There's no Monaco. There's no San Remo. There's no Luxembourg. There's no Europe. There's no United Kingdom. There's no Canada. Oh, Canada. There's no Buenos Aires and Argentina. There's no Brazil. What there are is strategic hamlets within a Hunger Games zip code system, and it's all nodes on the network. They've all been linked together through mesh networking. Let's start today's video with a lecture regarding what is called mesh network definitions. A mesh network is a type of local area network, LAN, LAN, local area network, topology, where each node, for example, acts as a bridge or a switch, and other infrastructure devices, which then connect directly, dynamically, and non-hierarchically to other nodes on the network, as many nodes as possible. This setup allows for the nodes to cooperate with each other, with one another, to efficiently route data to and from clients, to send and receive, trans transmissions or communications from the controller. Client means controller. It means Geneva Global Governance. It means NATO. It means United Nations. All right? That's who controls our world, Switzerland. So get off Israel, get off Vatican City, Rome, city state, Pope Leo, get off him. He's not running anything. He doesn't even know what artificial intelligence is. He doesn't understand the architecture on which artificial intelligence rides. The architecture is more important. You know, data centers are less important than nodes on the network using molecular engineering smart dust. Smart dust, without smart dust and mesogens, MIMS, and MIMOs, without photonic weapons and ultrasonic weapon systems, data centers have no value whatsoever. They're completely impotent. So data center is a building block that comes later on in the infrastructure build out. But first you start with human beings who have a body area network, a wireless body area network, Y-band, WBAN, wireless body area network that pulses your heart and your brain, which has now been tethered to the AI in the cloud. And until that's done, you don't need a data center. You don't need a database because you can't store any information that you can collect until after you develop the collections techniques. And we have now done that. That is fully deployed. Things that you know besides smart dust, which is one of the most ubiquitous of all of the systems used to collect data to send and receive, the nodes on the network in your breathable airspace, your water, and your soil. Besides that, we have smart meters, which monitor your flushing of your toilet, your baths and showers, and your use of gas and electric utilities, which can be put onto a smart quota and or shut off at will by the HAL 9000. So we have LED lights in your home, smart television, smart refrigerator. We have the mesh network having to do with ring cameras. Ultrasonic sound is a ring camera. Smart meters is also an ultrasonic sound and EMF system. The LED streetlights outside your home along your street They are part of the mesh network, as well as the pollution in the sky known as smart dust, messagens, MIMS, and MIMOs. The glare in the sun. If you don't believe me, look at the sky. Look at the sun. Any time of day, sunrise, sunset, twilight, or noontime. Look up at the sky, and you'll need sunglasses because the glare is so horrendous. And that's because the sun's natural rays is bouncing off all the aluminum chalk to magnify it and is actually neuromodulating you. That you are a victim of CRISPR therapeutics when you look at the sky, and which is somewhat blinding. It will temporarily blind you. That's neuromodulation. That's CRISPR therapeutics. That's the modification of your cellular structure, known as gene editing, splicing of your own human genome, right? Innovative genomic Frankenstein monster. Anyway, the idea about a mesh network is to create a self organized and self configurating communication network. Then there are routing techniques. There are techniques that can either flood a system or systematically pace it. There's fully connected networks. There are several types of mesh networks, wireless mesh networks. There's mesh networks have an acronym called WMN. Then there's also hard cable routing networks, right? You can have fiber optic cables that can be networked together underground, right? It's not just in the sky or using your street lights or your ring cameras and your 5G towers, which run on 6G technology. Uh, they're essentially part of a 7G architectural system, which all devices, smart devices that can help the smart dust send and receive to trace, track, and target people and send and receive pulsing, including the command to kill. The kill command can also be sent over the mesh Wi-Fi network system. Mesh Wi-Fi, unlike traditional Wi-Fi routers that rely only on a single point of access, the mesh Wi-Fi, which is the smart dust, it uses multiple nodes to broadcast in Wi-Fi in micro sub-millimeter waves. Sub-millimeter waves, which is sub-microwave, means much, much smaller, 1,000 times smaller than a microwave oven. Much, much, much smaller, pulsing of waves. And that is how the mesh Wi-Fi works on sub-millimeter waves. This setup provides a stronger and more uniform Wi-Fi wireless frequency signaling, which will eliminate dead spots, which are commonly encountered with single-use routers. Like the Wi-Fi router that's in your living room or your den at home. You have a Wi-Fi router. Well, the smart dust is more sophisticated than that and is in the trillions. There are trillions of particulates in your breathable air space. Trillions. Comparison with the Wi-Fi extenders, while Wi-Fi extenders can amplify an existing Wi-Fi signal, they often create a separate network with a different SSID. In contrast, the mesh networks use the same SSID across all nodes, providing seamless coverage and much better service. The benefits are as follows. Mesh networks offer improved coverage, simpler management, and easy scalability to expand the communication network. The communication means weapon deployment systems that they can not only trace and track you, target you, but they can push the kill button on you too. That's expanded with scalability. They can be user-friendly by the controller who pulls the trigger, or they can be very unfriendly to those nodes who are non-compliant that run on the wireless system of systems. That's what the Netcentric warfare is all about. It's a system of systems within the mesh Wi-Fi network. The downside of a mesh network is as follows. They can be more expensive than traditional routers. However, when you have Switzerland writing the check, unlimited capital, trillions of dollars spent on mesh networks, more money is spent on smart dust than will ever be spent on data centers. Data centers is a lower priority and less expensive to build a data center than it is to have military planes dumping on you 16 hours a day. That's actually very expensive. Not to mention all the backup equipment having to do with the smart meter deployment. The COVID vaccine is part of the mesh network. The COVID vaccine is a bio-cyber interface delivered by your medical doctor or pharmacist. And your pharmacists and your doctors have been conscripted and bribed to deliver and deploy the 7G technology. COVID vaccinations and monkeypox and bird flu are all the same as having um, your neighbor install 16 Ring cameras next door to you. Ring cameras, smart meters, LED streetlights in close proximity to you is like having a booster shot for the Omicron variant of COVID. But when you combine that most people have COVID shots and they're also in close proximity to Ring cameras and smart meters and LED lights, they have an extremely strong signature on the mesh network radar screen. And so while we talk about expense being a downside, it's not really, because Switzerland will spend infinity amounts of money to deploy smart dust and to guarantee the success of the mesh Wi-Fi system. Anyway, there are some advanced features that the power users may need that the Wi-Fi can't deliver yet. But in summary, mesh networks do provide a robust and flexible solution, ubiquitous and inescapable for both wired and wireless communication needs. It is integrated with your wireless router in your home and fiber optic cabling as well. The wireless networking needs offer significant advantages in terms of coverage, reliability, and ease of use. Yeah, it's ubiquitous and inescapable. All right. And your body is the biggest node on the network. You who are listening to my video. If you're not a paid member, hurry up and become a paid member. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I have 1,700 videos I posted. Over 200 of them have to do with network engineering and molecular engineering. Molecular engineering has to do with CRISPR therapeutics, okay, which I've done probably 50 or 60 videos regarding Jennifer Doudna, CRISPR Therapeutics, Zug, Switzerland, Boston, Massachusetts, London, England, and Mission Bay, San Francisco, and University of California campus, where Jennifer Doudna maintains the Doudna Laboratory at 2151 Berkeley Way, one block off of Phoebe Hearst Avenue, on the campus there near the Chancellor's Mansion. She's a baseball throw away from the Chancellor's Mansion that no one lives in, but they have cocktail parties there. And near a block and a half away from Corey Hall, where Ted Kaczynski allegedly mailed two Unabombs back in the 1980s, 83 and 85, I believe, onto the I believe it was the fourth floor, which is, by the way, where Smart Dust was developed, on the fourth floor of the Corey Hall building. Turns out that Ted Kaczynski was a genius, and he was a practical man, and he was not a Unabomber. He was a mathematics professor at Berkeley, 1968 and 69, and then the COINTELPRO people turned him into a Unabomber. But don't forget, he had been electro-shocked with a direct energy weapon at Harvard University for 3 out of 4 years that he attended from age 17 to age 21. Ted Kaczynski graduated from Harvard University, and he was under the tutelage of Timothy Leary, who gave him electric shock treatments along with LSD and psilocybin treatments. And he became a professor of mathematics at UC Berkeley. So I guess the electroshock treatments didn't have much of an effect on him. So what I wanted to tell you is that Timothy Leary didn't create electrical shock treatments, and neither did Jennifer Doudna, who was given a Nobel Prize in chemistry for dealing with molecular engineering and human augmentation of gene splicing of DNA, cellular modification, innovative genomics. They don't want to call anything what it is. They'll call it precision medicine, e-pharmacy, e-medicine. It's none of those things. Molecular engineering is a military weapon system. Let me continue. It's part of cognitive warfare, which focuses on the attacking and degrading of human cognition and rationality. It can lead to the exploitation of vulnerabilities of your cognitive tenets of thinking and weaken you as a human. However, this is becoming a complex issue as non-military targets have now become involved. That's called like the citizens of the villages of My. They were women and pregnant women who were murdered by Charlie Company and surrounded by two other divisions of over 200 men on the perimeter. And they were a victim of a NATO attack in 1968, March 16th, 1968, a Saturday morning. It's when they killed at least 504 women and children, but also another hamlet within the province where 150 people were killed. So it's more like 650 people killed, and not by one man by the name of William Cowley. He couldn't have killed more than 2 dozen people, but there are hundreds of other dead people on the plantation. This is the fact of the matter is that people like Jennifer Doudna's CRISPR Therapeutics, pimped and promoted by Dan Rather and all the media outlets, is that they're targeting civilians. That's the big lie. And your doctor and your nurses and your hospitals are all part of the NATO forces. In other words, your doctor is a NATO soldier. He's a prison guard at Auschwitz, okay? And they're leading you to a cremation oven, which is going to microwave you, which they'll do that in your own home. And they most certainly do it in a Donald Trump Freedom City, will they not? I will provide some links below. There are literally hundreds of links. I'm not going to provide them all. I'm just going to provide you with a couple because I know that people under mind control can have their brain, you know, exploded. What I want you to know, I'll use Wikipedia from time to time because it's simple and it's there, and Wikipedia does have a lot of valuable information. They also lie a lot too. But that's true with all white papers, and that's true with Harvard and Stanford and University of California and MIT and Princeton and Yale. They all lie too, right? Everybody lies. It's a military program. You're not supposed to know what's going on. According to Wikipedia, netcentric warfare is also called netcentric operations, also known as netcentric warfare. It's really netcentric cognitive neuroscience warfare. It's a military doctrine or a theory of war that aims to translate information advantages enabled by data collection and processing, called information technology, and then using it as a competitive weapon through computer networking of dispersed forces, aka ubiquitous autonomous nodes on the network. It was pioneered by the United States Department of Defense in the 1990s. That's code for RAND Corporation, MIT, Department of Energy, UC Berkeley, Stanford University, SRII, Stanford Research Institute International. That's code for Lockheed, Raytheon, Bell Nokia Labs, and Hughes Space and Communications, and another couple of hundred NATO contractors. All right. Background in history is that this system goes back really to 1865 when Switzerland created the Institute for Telecommunications, also known as International Telecommunications Union, ITU. I believe it started in Paris, France, was quickly moved to French-speaking Geneva. Geneva is the home of radiation poisoning. It is the home of Havanna syndrome, which means it's the home of COVID because COVID is Havanna syndrome. There is no such thing as a loose virus, like the juice is on the loose. The juice is on the loose. Oh my God, we're all going to die of COVID unless we get vaccinated. No, I didn't. And I didn't die, and I'm still doing my show. 4, 5, 6 years later, I'm still alive. I haven't died yet. But I do have ringing in my ears, and I do have Havana syndrome like symptoms. And if I go to my doctor, he'll tell me I have long COVID, and I'll tell him to go jump in a lake because he's lying for a fee, gets paid to lie. Because if he gives me a vaccination, he gets paid money. But if he tells me it's Havana syndrome, he gets drummed out of the business because there's no reimbursement code for radiation poisoning. Netcentric warfare is associated with the United States Navy. They had a publication called Copper ICUS, C4ISR for the 21st century, which we're in the 21st century now. The United States Navy was discussing ideas of using networking sensors, command and control, shooters to flatten out hierarchy so you could have quicker acting military in-field decision making. Does that sound like what they're going to do with Supreme Court judges? We're just going to go to a mercy system of arguing with a computer in a courtroom. The computer will have all your biometric information, your geofencing. He'll know. It's like Santa Claus. He knows when you've been bad. He knows when you've been good, when you're compliant or non-compliant. You won't be able to lie in court or commit perjury because the computer will have a complete dossier on your activities of daily living since the day you were born. This is an information revolution. It's also known as a judicial nightmare. Judicial notice becomes information age warfare, the power of the edge. All right. So anyway, that's my point today, people, is that we're talking about netcentric cognitive neuroscience warfare. You got it? That's what we're talking about. And it's a little bit of a misnomer to call it electronic warfare because it utilizes photonics and ultrasonics, which are not electric. They are energy systems. It uses our sun above, and it weaponizes the sun through the bouncing off all of the smart dust. And then we have what's called scintillation, do we not? Scintillation. We have airplanes, helicopters, and drones making a lot of noise using ultrasonics to excite the particles that were dumped by KC-10 extenders and KC-47 Pegasus cargo planes dumping tonnage of this smart dust using MIMOs. And then they use the concept pioneered by Yale University alum Ernest Lawrence at University of California, Berkeley, on Phoebe Hearst Avenue, which becomes Cyclotron Road. Cyclotron Road is Phoebe Hearst Avenue. Cyclotron Road, where Ernest Lawrence pioneered and built a cyclotron machine in 1929, 3031, and his name appears on the patent along with the Department of Energy. All right, so we have the cyclotron machine, which was ground-based. Then we have underground-based cyclotron machines. Then we have ground-based. Then we have air-based. In the breathable air sky, we have drones, helicopters, and turboprop planes who provide scintillation cyclotronics mobily to excite the clouds. And this creates weather warfare scenarios. It can create tornadoes, hurricanes, snow blizzards, rain, hail, and then mudslides. And then in the summer, grass fires, forest fires. Does that sound like something we've had the last 10 years? Is Pacific Palisades and Sierra Madre and Sonoma County, Napa County, Yolo County all burning up with fires every other year or every single year? Typically in September, October is when our fire season kicks in after the end of a long, dry summer and all the grass is ready to go. It's all been caked with aluminum, so it burns hot and it's hard to put out. See, that's part of the smart dust weather warfare system is it can create a problem and then exacerbate the problem, then blame it on humans and say we need to move to a zero carbon footprint. People, if we go to zero carbon climate action, that means no humans will be alive because humans are carbon elements. All right. They've embedded this system. They've embedded the system of cyclotron scintillation. They've embedded it in our soil, in our water, in our mountains, in our snow, in our rain, in our clouds, in our fake synthetic clouds. They've infiltrated it. They've fully deployed it with using Air Force and military airplanes of all types, every type of airplane, every municipal airport, every official international airport, every military base deploys planes to either dump chemtrails or excite the chemtrails once they've been fanned out. It's all part of the mesh network. And we have a super mesh network, which includes all the tonnage, trillions of dollars of tonnage dumped upon us for the last 4 years, plus the 30 years before, 30 or 40 years before, they were dumping at a lesser level, less noticeable. Then they've deployed smart meters and ring cameras, LED streetlights, Bluetooth, mobile cell phones, which really came out in the 1990s in mass, and they have harnessed photonics, which is light. They've harnessed sound, which is sonic or ultrasonic. It could be sounds that humans can't hear, but dogs can. It could be ultra infrared light that humans can't see, but some bats can. Maybe a bat can feel the energy from infrared, a blind bat. And the next step is to build out all these data centers. I'm doing an expose series of videos with Michael Brooks of Brooklyn, New York. He is going to lead us through the construction of these mega data centers, which will be in addition to the thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of corporate data centers, which have existed for 60 years. We've had, ever since IBM was rolling out computers, we've had data centers. But now we're talking about rural data centers that use tons of energy, electricity, and water to keep their batteries cool. All right. So, besides weather warfare, we're talking about human augmentation. Because when the smart desk penetrates your wireless body area network, it becomes a cyber bio interface or a bio cyber interface, just like a COVID vaccine does, just like the annual flu shot or a bird flu shot or the Omicron booster does. It all goes into tethering humans to the cloud, turning them into walking hard drives, human antennas, and it's not a conspiracy that was cooked up in China. All right. It was cooked up in Berkeley, California, in Palo Alto, and Menlo Park, and in Silicon Valley, and in Boston, in Cambridge, Cambridge and Boston, both. They have a photonic center in Boston on the southern side of the Charles River, and then they have all this Department of Energy um, weaponry being developed at MIT on the north side of the Charles River, along with Harvard, which is a company, a, a corporation of Switzerland that was designed specifically to create clergy leaders and civic leaders in the strategic Hunger Games. That's Harvard was created in the early 1600s, and it survived the revolution. And the whole time it's working for Switzerland, under the guise that it's friends with the redcoats, the British. And that's why you should never trust anyone who graduates Harvard University or any dropout who went there, like Bill Gates, like Mark Zuckerberg, for example. They're not to be trusted. They're Harvard dropouts. All right. It's not just Norfolk, Virginia, which is Navy Intelligence Center. It's not just Langley, Virginia. It's not just the farm in Virginia. It's everywhere, all the time, ubiquitous and escapable super mesh networks of MIMS and MIMOs, message ins, driven by Mosa and Sosa and keyboard commandos, young people making big salaries in a trailer, hacking into people's brains, and then your doctor pimping you out for precision medicine or telemedicine or e-pharmacy so he can tranquilize your anxieties by using the mesh high security military system. It's nothing to do with healthcare. It's everything to do with altering your DNA, splicing your genome, splicing your DNA, your cellular structure, and disabling your tenets of thinking and cognition to turn you into a zombie. It's a zombie apocalypse. It's a Twilight Zone episode coming to you in 2026. Mercy! It's like Arnold Screw Your Freedom Schwarzenegger's Terminator 1 and Terminator 2, right? That's what we're dealing with here. I hope made my point. It's got to 34 minutes. Do like and share my videos. Do order yourself a juxtaposition coffee mug. You can certainly put adult beverages in here. It's a supersized mug. and share my videos because I am heavily shadow banned, and this message needs to get out. Okay, we just had the New York Knicks come back from 29 points down to defeat the San Antonio Spurs. You do know that game was fixed and rigged, right? You do know that that's impossible. No high school team could ever come back from a 29-point deficit. Only a professional team that's being paid money could do that, right? That's called fixing the games. That's what all professional sports are. They're fixed 100%. Do they use electric motors in the Tour de France? Oh, I bet they do. You look, anytime you have a basketball game and you invite Chris Rock, Jimmy Fallon, Spike Lee, and unfunny Jewish comedians like Ben Stiller, John Leibowitz, who goes by Jon Stewart, but his name's Leibowitz, Larry David, Jerry Seinfeld, okay, and then you invite Tina Fey and Taylor Swift, and they're sitting in $20,000 seats at court level. You know it's rigged, right? You know it's fake. And if Journey plays Don't Stop Believin' when you make 30 points back and win the game by one against a highly professional team that all the sports media commentators say is too young for the moment, that's a bald-faced lie. The youngest person on the San Antonio Spurs, I think, is 22 years old. And they're shooting 3-point shots when they should be just dribbling out the time, letting the clock run out. And they could easily win that game if they just blow the clock up. They don't have to score any more points. They've already won the game. But only in professional sports do all the fake journalists lie to you about what happened. And they'll tell you that they're stupid team, they're young and immature. Well, the coach isn't 22. They have assistant coaches. They're not 22 years old. And by the way, there's not a single 22-year-old in professional sports that's stupid. They're all been playing for 20 years or for 15 years at least. And they know exactly what to do when you have a big lead. They don't need to be coached. Everybody knows what to do. So if they don't run out the clock, you know it's fixed. Also, if none of the sports media people, like Rich Eisen, like Stephen A. Smith, like every person you see on ESPN, okay, everyone on there, if they tell you, like Charles Barkley tells you that the team is stupid and that's why they lost, that's a bald-faced lie. They're not stupid. They lost on purpose. Don't you get it? It's a show. New York's going to win the NBA Finals. Who cares? Toddy Pogacar is probably going to win the Tour de France again. Who cares? Who cares? It's rigged. It's fake. All the players are on drugs and they fix the race too. And they probably have electronic motors. There's so much facial recognition systems and electrical direct energy weaponry in Madison Square Garden. Does anybody really believe that that's a safe environment to go? You've got to be fully augmented to get in there. That's my video for today. Do you know that professional sports are rigged, whether it's baseball? We knew that in 1929 when the Chicago White Sox lost to the Boston Red Sox. It was fixed by the mafia, okay? By Arnold Rothstein and the Chicago outfit. So if you think the baseball is real, get off my channel. If you think Stu Peters and Tucker Carlson are legitimate, get off my channel. You're augmented. You're a nut. You don't know anything about anything. Become a paid member and grow your brain. I have an extensive library of over 3,000 videos across 5 different platforms. Take care. We'll talk soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.